One of the biggest misconceptions is that you have to follow this predictable life path. So a lot of parents and teachers tell us, hey, you have to go to school, so you go to a good university, then you have to get an internship. Eventually, once you finish that university, you get a graduate job, then you climb the ranks. At some point down the line, you start building a family, you buy a house, of course you get a mortgage, and then you keep working yourself up to some type of leadership position, and then eventually you will retire when you are 60 years old, and then with some of those savings, maybe you will travel a little bit of the world, right? You probably heard this. I heard this many times when I was growing up in post-communist Poland. In fact, a lot of teachers would tell me, hey kid, stop dreaming about going out there into the world. You are from Poland, you are from Torun, this little tiny city. Try to finish school, try to get to university, try to get some type of job. Maybe one day you're gonna go on some exotic holiday. That's what some teachers told me. Well, clearly it didn't work out that way, right? Which I'm very happy about. But what if I listened to them? Just imagine, what if I listened to them? And in fact, I listened to them for a little bit. So I bootstrapped myself to a British university, and the big pinnacle was to work for companies like Goldman Sachs, like JP Morgan, like Morgan Stanley, right? Any investment bank was the pinnacle. So what do you do when you are this insecure Polish kid? Well, of course, you go to Goldman Sachs. So I started working for Goldman. So initially I felt amazing. Wow, I'm in Goldman Sachs. This is incredible. Not a lot of people get to be accepted into this company. But very quickly, probably within a week, as far as I remember, I started feeling something weird. I started feeling this strange feeling as if I'm not doing something that I'm meant to be doing with my life, right? There was all of this fuss about working for one of those big corporations, and I really felt like maybe this is the answer. But once I was on the inside, I realized, like, that's it? Like, is it all I've been striving for? And the answer was no, there's something different. I'm not meant to be on this planet to be doing what I'm doing now. And that's when I started forming that vision that later became my reality. And now over the last 10 years, traveling full-time while being an entrepreneur, running various ventures, which is a dream. But I remember that once upon a time, I was in that trap, in that illusion of, hey, you have to live this conventional life path. And if you do something, anything outside of the box, you will fail. You're gonna fail miserably, right? These were the messages that I had in my head. That was my old programming. And unfortunately, a lot of people have the same programming, but they never break out. And the sad thing is that a lot of people don't even realize that the red pill is in there. They think that there's just one option. And the only option is that predictable life path. But this is not true. There's so many different things you could be doing. And you see, over the years, I've been a member of various nomad communities, and you meet so many people from all over the world who are doing incredible things and so many different things. There's so much variety out there, right? Back in the day when I got started, when I tried to explain to people what I was doing, it was very difficult, right? Whenever I told people that I live off my suitcase and I run my business while traveling, a lot of people scratching their heads like, what? Like what is it all about? It's kind of similar like trying to explain to people what crypto is in 2017. Most people just scratch their heads like, what? You're speaking a different language, what are you talking about? But nowadays there are so many opportunities. There are people who have blogs, who are doing vlogs. There are people who run real estate companies. There are all types of freelancers. There are virtual assistants. There's so many people who are traveling the world while working from their laptops. In fact, there are a lot of companies that offer jobs that don't require you to be in an office. You can literally go all over the world. You could come to a place like Iceland, then you can hop into Brazil, and you can go to the Canary Islands, and then you can decide to go into Peru, and you can do your work from your laptops. So nowadays it's no longer a matter of being this maverick, being a complete rebel, going against the system. It's just a matter of asking yourself, how do you want to live your life? So rather than just accepting that the way the society tells you should be living your life is not the only way. Just realizing that and then just being honest with yourself, rather than sleepwalking through life and being reactive and allowing life to throw different things at you, you gotta ask yourself, okay, if anything was possible, how would I want to live my life? What are the things that I want to do? What is the business do I want to have? What is the type of work do I want to have? What am I good at? What do I enjoy doing? asking yourself those questions and being brutally honest with yourself, because only when you figure out what you really want to be doing with your life, as if anything is possible, once you figure out that ideal vision for your life, that will become the guiding force, that will become the northern star for what you should be doing. And guess what? Once you figure out what you want to be doing and why you want to be doing it, once you figure those things out, everything else is secondary, because you can always figure out a way. If you know you want to be here, you can figure out different ways to get there. But the problem happens is that most of us focus on the how without even knowing the why and where we want to be. It doesn't make any sense, right? We focus on what we're gonna be doing, but we don't even know where we want to get. Like, imagine organizing a trip like this, right? Imagine getting into the car and just saying, all right, let's figure out a way, but we don't even know where we are going. Doesn't make sense, right? You can't just keep sleepwalking through life, but instead you figure out this. What is your vision? Where do you want to be? What is your ideal future life? What are the things you wouldn't accept in your life, right? Just being honest with yourself, taking plenty of time to figure those things out, and then you create some type of an action plan. That's when you can start figuring out what types of things in your life will bring you closer to that vision. And you will realize that there are many different paths to accomplish the same result. You may see that, well, there's some type of business you could create that would bring you a lot of value, a lot of pleasure, a lot of feeling of fulfillment. You may realize that you could pursue certain freelancing careers, right? There's just so many different things. I don't even want to give you examples, because if I start listing examples, my fingers will literally get frostbitten. It's very cold here, even though you probably can't see it, but when we were coming down, there was so much ice there. We had to hold on tight to the ropes, because literally it was like this skating ring, right? If you didn't hold the rope, you would just slide down. But listen, my point is, plenty of examples, but think about it in the context of your life. Before watching the next video, I want you to really sit down and ask yourself those important questions and difficult questions. Because listen, I'm aware that some of you watching this video, you may be watching it in your office. Like literally, maybe you have a little lunch break, or not even a lunch break. The boss is not looking. The boss is not looking, and now you are quickly watching the video because you want to get inspired a little bit. And you may realize that your reality is far from what you want it to be. And it's a painful realization. I have to tell you, I had many of those moments when I was in Goldman Sachs. Later on, I worked for a startup company. I had some great moments, but I also had those miserable moments when I was sitting there thinking, is that it? Like, this is what I've been working for, right? This is what I've been learning for. Like, this is the life I'm gonna have for the next 20, 30, 40 years? No, like, I cannot accept it. This cannot be my life. It just felt miserable. If you feel like this, it may feel debilitating. You may feel like this is insurmountable, right? I get it, I get Jimmy, I understand what you are saying. I know what I have to do, but it feels debilitating. It feels like too much of a challenge. And I understand, but you have to take that step. As painful as it may feel, you have to take that step. Everything starts with self-awareness. Once you have your self-awareness, now you have the options to pursue a different course of action. And I invite you to start doing it right now. So I really hope that you enjoyed this video. It's a spontaneous one, but a lot of people have been asking me this question. What about the conventional life path? What about the red pill versus the blue pill? So I figured, what a better place to do it than this, by the waterfall right here in nature. I hope that you got inspired by this video. I hope that it gave you some good food for thought, and I'm gonna see you in the next one.